The topic we're doing is Am I my own worst critics?
Right. So the research, there is actually a research. I know it's a little bit back in 2022. There is a National Population Health Survey found that 17% of Singapore residents actually have poor mental health.
Wow.
The work
I
stress.
think the percentage has gone up already.
I don't know. But according to the report, work stress is being the major contributing factor. Right. So I think that boils down to, are we like our own worst critic simply because why so stressed? Are we like giving ourselves the stress itself?
I think that definitely goes deep, and definitely I would say that we are definitely our own critics. It's a learned behavior, actually, don't you think so? Like when we are young, we learn from our families, our parents, our teachers, our peers. As we grow older, we learn from our mentors, our bosses, what is right, what is wrong, what is expected, how we should even behave. You know, the office politics, the office ethics.
Right.
So I think it's a lot of learned thing, and this journey of learning and improving ourselves generally become a critic that we put on ourselves. And I think the more dangerous part is, are we even critics based on our own values, our, like now everybody's calling it authentic self? Are we critics based on other people's expectation of us?
Right.
Right? So that part is challenging, I think.
Right. There's actually a Singapore. They say that average young professional actually work for an average of 45 to 45 hours per week. And these long hours of working is actually linked to very poor physical and mental health, something like obesity, like myself, and as well as stress. We are under so much stress, and there is actually still a very big problem is about stigma.
Right.
People take it that, if I actually have mental health, I am like mad, right? So they very scared to actually see a doctor, and they think that being, having mental health issue, they are being seen as being weak, right? So I think, is there a reason why people is scared of sharing to people that I really need help?
I think mental health is a topic that everybody's talking about now, because ever since the pandemic, it seems like it has just gone rampant. It's like it's flooding every nation, every cities. And the challenge with mental health, as you have highlighted, is that it's very easily concealed. And it is one of these health conditions whereby you can't tell until the very late stage. Imagine it's like, sometimes even if cancer, you can tell when it's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. With mental health, like you mentioned, everybody concealed it only until very serious stage. Now people still don't think that they have a problem, and then they just gave up.
Is it denial?
It's not a denial. Like you say, sometimes it's just a stigma. Much as we acknowledge that it is part of life, stress is part of life, but a mental health kind of give a connotation of weakness. And so in the office scenario, especially like you mentioned, office space, right? Stress in office space whereby you're expected to be performer, you're expected to be a performer, to be excel, to be above, your best performing self. It just feels that you're not ready and you're not cut out. So people tend to conceal it because nobody want to show the weakness in an office space. And unless the office space is created such that they have a very safe environment for people to fail, for people to trial and error, to recognize that their achievement doesn't just come from KPI, from goals. There's more to that. Then maybe people are more open to share their weakness. Maybe not so much on mental health, but at least share their weakness, share that they are not 100% perfect. It's okay.
It's okay to be weak.
We tend to think that it's okay, but when you're in that position of the office space, you realize that you don't want to be as well. Even though you know that it's okay, but you want to be okay in that closed door, not in the public.
Right.
It's like you tend to look at what are the consequences if I show myself that way. Yeah, because I don't know, top performers usually drive themselves and a level that is, of course, sometimes overdriven, but their ability to hold it in are high, and sometimes they may also ignore their need to take a break. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Like, a lot of time I think is half about people not being aware, where and the other half is people actually want to conceal their weakness,
Yeah.
right? So is do you think people are actually not aware? Possible?
Definitely possible, because I think in our environment whereby we live in a very tight space and most people has a lot of people around them. And thing about awareness is that sometimes you need to have walls to bounce off to yourself. You need to come into yourself. And to come into yourself and to have that introspective direction, you kind of need to have some form of isolation. And that's also why that we spoke about why that some people only realize their true self in their lowest point, is because at that point I suddenly realized that there is a voice that I have always been ignoring myself. And so in a lot of time, our environment, we go home, there is family waiting for us. At work, there's so many people, and we live in a community that's so tight. We don't have enough of personal space to reflect, to quiet ourselves down and to listen to ourselves. I think that is also one reason why we ignore our own voices. Yeah, we hear more than we hear ourselves. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
What do you think, Andy? Do you think that this is a concern with mental health? Do you think it's really a concern, one of the foundation of why we are unaware that we are not mentally healthy? Or do you think it's more?
I think I can only share experience. A long time ago, and the reason that actually I quit one of my previous job is because I was staying very far. So my workplace is something like I have to travel 100 minutes from the time I step out of my door to I step into the office. So, and the place I have to wake up like really early if I were to take a bus there or MRT. And I remember that I actually have to wake up like 6:45. Okay, it can be very normal for everybody, yes, true. But imagine me having to wake up at 6:45 just to get out of the house at maybe 7:15, just to be able to get to work on time at 8:30.
Right.
And it went on for many years that I was pretty happy with the place, but I was actually so stressed out due to this having to be there on time that every morning I was actually while I'm in the toilet, okay, I was there actually crying, right? I mean, I shared with in another podcast that this actually went on for a while. That I'm not even sure is maybe this is some environmentally caused stress to me, and that actually made myself very unhappy in that work. No matter if the work itself is giving me so much fun, so much pleasure, so much satisfaction, but one nagging stress actually eventually build up so much that until I need to cry. So I think
How did you resolve it after that?
eventually I
do
have to
some-
quit.
So you
Right.
after how long a period of
I
time?
don't know. I've been crying maybe for 2 years.
Serious?
Yes. So
Oh,
so
wow.
I think the point that I want to bring across is this kind of I don't call it. Do we even call it mental problem? I don't know. Stress.
These are triggers. We call it
Triggers, right?
triggers. Yeah, triggers.
And they are so small, so minuscule, so that hello, what's wrong with you, right? But actually, they builds up.
Yeah.
Day after day, like
Yes.
200 work days in a year. That's 400 days of
Yes.
crying,
Yes.
right?
It's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it really forms. Oh gosh, I really can't take it, and that's why. And thank God things happen. I managed to find myself in another place, which is much nearer to home, and I get to wake up at 7 o'clock instead of like 6:15. Yeah,
So it's very important, as we mentioned about awareness, right? So isn't it wonderful if you have recognized this as a trigger that affects you? You know, then you could have maybe addressed it earlier, or maybe found a resolution earlier. And it is not unusual. In psychology, there's this thing called the ecological system, whereby one thing about human happiness, one big part is your ecological system. We are not singular. So ecological system appears to, like you mentioned, your environment, the people around you, your society, even the space you're in. And it all creates a certain, like for yourself, become a trigger for your unhappiness. And to each is individual. Yeah, so recognizing your ecological system, whether it's supporting you or not, is actually very important. And eventually you found your way out. Yeah.
Luckily, lah. For those who didn't find a solution, then how?
Well, I think sometimes even if you don't find it, eventually your environment will push you out of it. Because we as individuals, we innately know what works, what doesn't work. And if we are not, it's how long we stay in the journey. It's like we always have this narration, like if you're in the MRT train, you know you're supposed to get down, let's say Singapore, right? And you say you're supposed to go to Tampines, you know, you're supposed to maybe change a train at City Hall, for example, if you need to take a certain line. If you didn't get down on the train, you may just end up continuing the route, and then it just takes a longer route. And then you may then realize it longer, and then by the time you get down and you change your another train, you wasted maybe 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and then you spend more time reaching your destination. Eventually, you will force yourself into that situation and realize, hey, it's not working.
Right.
I need to do something. So it's just whether how aware or how, the faster you get awareness, the faster you step out of it, the faster you reach your destination. Yeah, so it's innately we actually does have the answers. And that's also why sometimes these days a lot of people are focusing on coaching. Why is it so powerful? Because it's empowering individuals to recognize that they have the answers if they listen deeply enough. Yeah, you don't need to go around searching for a lot of answers. A lot of time, you know what works, what doesn't work for yourself. We just are not listening enough to ourselves, to our own voice. Or maybe even the narration that we're listening is not correct. Sometimes we just get it wholesale. Like all this self-defeating narration that we might have.
Right.
I'm not good enough, I'm lousy. Then we just take it wholesale. Oh, yeah, it's correct. And we just kind of, oh, yeah, I agree with it.
Yeah,
and you take a long detour.
Your
right?
own angel and your own devil.
I know, right? I always imagine this like Donald Duck, cartoon whereby there's two Donald Duck, right? One in all black, one in all white, or trying to give the narration depending on who wins. And there is this story that I always remember when I was doing my mindfulness, the story of the two wolves, I think. So there's this story, I cannot remember if it's two wolves or it's two wolves, I think. There's this story whereby the old man was telling the boy and saying that in this house there's the two wolves. One is kind and loving and compassionate. One is angry, nasty, and all full of vengeance and angry person. And they are both in the same house, fighting each other. So the boy asked the old man, so Grandpa, who wins? So the man say that it depends and who feed, the wolf that you feed.
I see.
So we all in us has got, sometimes all these negative thoughts, that sometimes it depends on your focus. If your focus is on certain things that you are not achieving, you're not getting, that part is going to magnify. You definitely find it. You definitely find certain stories, certain facts that anchors to your belief system that it is, you're just not good enough. But you turn the other around, look at your little wins and look at the little things that you have achieved, the little milestone that you have done, you also are going to find that part of facts that will anchor that belief system. Right. So depending on which wolf you want to feed, right? Yeah, and of course we're not trying to ignore the nasty wolves. Yeah, we've now learned that in our belief system and our mindset, we can actually reframe them. We can actually learn from them. We can actually turn it into a positive side as well. Yeah, our mind are quite powerful.
Okay, how about our family and loved ones?
When we talk about stress and all of that, I think it is actually very, very important. In psychology studies. This part of people, much as especially for myself, I tend to think that I'm quite happy to be without a community. I know it sounds weird. It's like, because being an introvert, I really love my own space and to the point whereby I don't need a lot of communication to feel.
For you lah.
Yeah. So I tend to think that maybe there's some group of people that's a bit like me. But then, of course, when we understand human behaviors and human minds and all that, we realize that beyond that, there's actually, as I explained earlier, there's an ecological system. And in positive psychology, there's this framework called PERMA. In PERMA, one big part of it is about relationship. And they have did so many studies to say that people who has got good connection with people around, with communities, with your society, they are people that are happier. And they are people who has got more meaning in life. And sometimes this meaning of life is not about you, it's about beyond you. Something that's bigger, maybe how you contribute to your environment, your society, to even maybe how you want to create a legacy, like some people here, right? I want to leave a legacy, I want to write a book, I want to do podcasts, I want to leave something that I have, down to whoever that's discovered. Maybe it benefits someone. That kind of meaning in life is what brings people strength in time of their, like you say, stress, in time of their depression, in time of the mental stress. Because when you have a meaning, and that driving force is very, very strong, and that driving force of meaning in life actually can, in fact, turn that adversity to be something that give you a purpose to push through. And that's why people, when they're upset, they say, there's no meaning in life. And people who are seriously depressed, they say, what am I doing? There's no meaning at all. Why do they keep using the word meaning, Why am I doing this? I don't find any meaning. It's like, there's no meaning. Then people sometimes go to the extreme of, terminating their life. So at that point, people always think that there's no meaning. And if you dig deeper to this meaning, it's always connected to, I don't contribute to my society. I've got nobody around me who understand. I've got no connection. I've got no human connection.
So which means that, with family and loved ones will most probably be that connection for a meaning, for an individual.
In stress management, your network is one of your resources. You see people who has got very strong connection and support network, their resilience are very strong. Just think of the recent, I think GE we just went through, right? I think we all can see Dr. Chi, who's very, very prominent in GE. Okay. He moved from one constituency to another one because of the situation. And then he fight on after 30 years. I was like, if I were him, I'd probably give up.
Conviction, right?
Yeah, I would probably give up after 10 years. I think, maybe Singapore is not ready for me. It's okay. I'll just live my own life quietly. But he pushed on. But when I look at him as a case study, because I was doing a lot of teaching on stress management and resilience, I was thinking loud to myself, this guy's resilience is like superpower that turbocharged. And I saw video of him running down the flats with his wife. His wife was also giving pamphlets, and then his kids came on TV and say that time when I saw my dad cry, they all melted. I was like, his whole family is with him. It's like, look at his network of support he has.
Okay.
And look at the people that queue up, signing his book after that. It's just impossible for him not to have that power to press on. His resilience are built up with strong network that's behind him.
So what you're trying to say is that the network that you have supporting you is actually part of your fuel.
Yeah.
To actually moves you on.
Yeah.
For Dr. Chi's case, that will be for him to burn so brightly and drives in for the 30 years.
For him to spring up every time when he feel that he thought he could make it, and just over a few votes or a few percentage, small little micro, he will be able to push himself out again because of that network support.
Right.
So that's also why a lot of time when in psychologist treatment in depression and all that, they would always say that reach out. Reach out is always the first thing. Reach out. Okay. They always ask you get out of your house. Reach out. It's okay to reach out. And they will always ask people who are supporting people who are in depression to say, just be with them. Just give them space. Hold the space. Don't need to do anything. Because that connection of holding space matters. Don't give advice. Right. Just be with them.
Just be with them.
Yeah.
No need to keep
exactly. Just be with them and let them know that they're not alone. They are with someone. That human connection is so vital when your lifeline is at that danger or at that critical point. And so I think communities definitely is very important. And think of how we form our thoughts when we are young to when we are old, right? It's all things that your mom tells you, your family tells you, your people around all tells you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And then sometimes you get it wrongly. You think that's your authentic self, but it's not. It's how they want you to be.
Right.
Then eventually you found yourself. But these are all vitally important.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me do a little bit of shameless plug here. So I guess our audience.
How did we become so serious?
No, the thing is that I think what's more important is that the network and the audience. You guys are actually our network. So please continue to watch us and subscribe and ask your friend to subscribe as well.
Yeah, that's very important, right?
Thanks for the network. Okay, continue.
We don't want to die of a sudden death. All this yeah. Right.
So have you ever have any self-doubts?
Definitely, who doesn't, right?
Right. So
yeah, definitely.
How do you actually deal with your own self-doubt or inner critic? What they say?
Well, I think we all have our self-doubt. For me, especially, so sometimes when you want something so much, or like you have a certain expectation of yourself, I think the self-doubt that naturally comes in. And I always recognize the voice that tells me, oh, you're not good enough. That's not the level of standard you want, right? It's very real, and voice like this is not that. It's not that sometimes you feel that it's something that is very hard to manage or hard to control. But however, what I really learned is that I asked myself, am I measuring myself when I'm at the backstage compared to someone who's on the spotlight? Because a lot of time I realized that my measurement is because I saw someone doing something under the spotlight. When I am seeing myself working in the back, trying to learn the skills. So that measurement of yardstick is not accurate, because a lot of time what we see all in social media or what we see on the stage are their perfected self or the completed self, right? So what else behind we do not know. So I always realized that a lot of time, unfortunately, we live in a social media world, and that put us in a situation we felt that, hey, why are we the only one that is struggling to get this thing done correctly, and most people is doing it correctly, but then you didn't realize that they are actually on the platform. They're curated.
It's so unfair, right?
It's edited.
All the nice thing, you go everywhere, all the beautiful holidays. And you only have that to compare with.
Yeah, but then I also learned to ask myself the questions then is that, what really matters to me then? When there's no lights on, when there's, then the doors are shut, when the curtains are down, what really matters? What is success then to you? Because we tend to think that success is when applause are there. But then sometimes when I look at the things that I do when it's not work related or when nobody's watching, I realize that kind of satisfaction and that kind of meaning to what success in seems to be more motivating for me. So sometimes it's flipping the question around, recognizing that you are measuring not with the same yardstick. At the same time, your meaning to success could be different from the other person's meaning of success. And that make you realize that, oh yeah, you may not need to be so critical, or you may not even realize that you are measuring it wrongly. Yeah, so again, that awareness need to come in, right? To recognize that, hey, when there is lights off, when the lights is off, when nobody's watching, what keeps you going?
Right.
And that things that keeps you in the flow and the going, that could be that success that keeps you fuel in your everyday life.
Right. So practically, right, so what can we do now in order to help us to build that healthier inner voice that we tell ourselves?
What do you think? Do you speak to yourself?
No idea. Maybe I was unaware, and maybe I will say that, look, I think in the gist is basically to stop comparing, right? So stop comparing will probably be the first most practical things to ask me to do myself in order to be a healthier inner voice. But I also recognize that it's pretty difficult for me to stop comparing and rather to work on myself. It's our natural instinct to always compare. I guess the only thing I can think of is stop comparing.
Right.
Is there any other things?
I think I like to think of our own narration as like a recording, like a script that you kind of gathered through the years. And I think of this script as the things you gathered may not be really you, may not be from you. It is your experience, it's maybe, like I mentioned, the advice you get from people around you. And so you have a whole, like imagine it's like a lawyer reading a whole stack of, information. And I think it's for individual, what you can do for your own inner voice, you need to curate, you need to edit, and you need to question, because it is just a collection of information that comes and bouncing back at you. And our mind is so good in protecting us that sometimes it just comes forth in the notion of protecting you. So for us, we need to curate and we need to edit and we need to ask ourselves, is this voice true, absolute true? Is this an assumption? Is there facts to anchor it? Is this narration from me or is from someone else? Is a narration that bounced off, actually. And understand that every thoughts, not all thoughts are facts. Not all thoughts, we need to entertain them as well. Sometimes we think that we get to take care of every single thought. No. And at the end of the day, you have control over that narration. And once you recognize that narrations is not necessarily true, you can actually maybe even consider reframing it. Maybe instead of saying that I can't, I didn't do so well, maybe say something like, that was hard, but I turned up. That's all matters.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to do a podcast putting myself up front, but I don't know if I'm going to do well. Instead of getting into that, once you finish that yourself, I did it. At least I make the first step.
Right.
So celebrate that little wins that you can have at every step of that narration. And turning that narration into a positive one, it is your choice. Like which move are we going to fit, right? And curate your thoughts and curate your narration, because trust me, I think a lot of this narration doesn't come from you. It's also your mind trying to protect you, because we have a wonderful brain that always want to protect us from harming ourselves, telling us, oh my God, it's very dangerous. Later you're going to have a presentation. Be careful. Then our heart start to pounce and we get into the nervous act and all that. But it is just telling you, be careful. You can just step back and say, all right, I'll be careful. And I'm prepared. I'm better prepared now compared to last week. You can change the narration, even though we had the butterflies there. You can still change the narration, say, yes, I know it's going to be a little bit stressful, but I know that I'm well prepared. I'm prepared. Yeah, so that will actually change your mind frame and then reframing to yourself so that your narration supports your well-being. I think that is important. But again, that part of understanding your narration may not be your full self is important, because a lot of people take everything as it is, But we all know that you are not your thoughts.
Right.
Yeah, because our thoughts come and go, and our thoughts changes every now and then. Right. What you think you are, like how you narrate yourself 5 years ago and now would be very much different.
Yeah, we changed what?
Yes. And that's why I always encourage people to do a self-journal or write a letter to yourself whenever you feel really lousy at the time. There's this website you can actually go and write a letter to myself. Write things that you're not happy with or things that's happening, whatever. And you send it to yourself like half a year later or even 1 year later. And
then
by the time
you laugh at it.
Yeah, you open it, it's like, why did I get so crazy and upset over this incident? It's like, and then a month later, it's all over. And you're okay now. So by recognizing that you actually, crossed the hurdle, 6 months later, you realize that, actually maybe at that moment, my moment of stress is not as serious as it is. I just wasn't in the best capacity to manage it, but it's okay. It will pass.
Right.
Yeah, so that will also help you as well. But like I mentioned, our own narration, our own mindset, it can always be readjust, curated, and just take it as a whole script that you just need to edit lah. Right. Yeah, go into some editing. Yeah, that's important. That's good to know.
So I think this podcast is actually more to talk about life in the office. So I guess then, now imagine in the office, right? Do you think that the stress a lot of time is we trying to not just trying to climb the corporate ladder, but rather that we sometimes just want to impress our peers, and like getting some validation from our peers or bosses. do you think this actually is, creating a lot of stress in the office?
Definitely, right? Because I think office space is a space whereby you're expected to perform. I mean, you're hired to perform, right? I mean,
Really?
everybody thinks so.
It's stress
and, and it's expected, our bosses want you to perform. And we all know that the best performer will get the best, paycheck and will get the best recognition end of the day. So it's not a very friendly environment in general. But then I think in the recent years, there's more awareness. There's more holistic environment these days. People has recognized that mental health is creeping into the workplace. And with that, a lot of people are also recognizing that a holistic leadership style is more welcoming, whereby leaders allow individuals to speak out without the fear of being judged. A safer environment for them to contribute, a safer environment to make mistake without knowing that it's the end of the world, and also recognizing individuals' contribution and success as a journey rather than the end of the KPIs. I've seen that happening in a lot of companies now because they realize that the mental health issues, if they don't take care of, will affect their KPI at the end of the day anyway. So you might as well take care of it before it hits you.
But how about the peers? The not just the boss, who is there to create the safe environment, but how about your colleague? The team members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is of course in team member support. I feel that in team member support, the subconscious or like the underlying sometimes competition would always be. Yeah, like you mentioned, right? People's comparing to each other. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you don't have to join the game. I always feel that the individual who are competitive will always be competitive.
So
and it's
again,
okay.
actually the problem is self again.
Yeah.
It's always self.
Yeah, self-navigating. Yeah, but of course, if you think that you don't see that as a competition, but you see it as a self-competition.
But
that
they see it as a competition. That stresses me out, right?
Yeah. They see it as competition, it stresses you out. Especially sometimes if you're a high performer, people take you as a competition, even though you don't take anybody else as a competition.
The world takes you as a competition.
Yes. And if you don't see them as a competition, I think it's okay. You can just take it as you may be a motivational force for the person to benchmark against. Shift your mindset instead. Since you have a positive mindset, you're not competing with anybody, you're just want to be your best performer self. Then see it as maybe you're the motivation force for someone to see you as like a mentor, like a example of a good performer. So that you don't get into your own stress that I have to upkeep my status quo. I have to compete with them.
But wouldn't this even be worse? Like, they instead of, just because you are being used as a role model, then what if people are jealous? Even more stress, right?
Sometimes we cannot control, but then, I think at the end of the day, this thing about jealousy is often come with a negative connotation.
Yeah.
So as the person you mentioned, the person is actually a performer, then people are jealous of them, right?
Exactly.
They can actually turn it around. I realize a lot of time, if the person who is a top performer turn around to be a supportive person to the rest of the team member, it won't become a jealousy. It became I can turn it more to a friendly, like a friendship thing. Whereby people are jealous, usually there is a lack of human connection with the person. So you're jealous with the person. But if the person is your friend, very seldom you get jealous of your friend, right? Close friend. Yeah? So with that, I think the person who is the high performer, if they don't like the vibes that people are getting jealous of me, then turn it around, whatever that they are maybe jealous of you of, or they think that you're really good at, how about you share how you achieve it, how you get it done, how you get your things done that is so successful. So in that case, people start to build relationship with you. And then that sense of jealousy will drop because once they start to build relationship with you, it became a friendship. Yeah, so it became a more healthier environment.
And I guess we have to take that first move.
Yeah.
In making this possible.
Yes. You need to be aware. I think you need to be aware about what is around you. And I always think that whoever that's strongest in that situation can take the initial step. So there isn't such a thing, say the leader must be the one that takes an initial step. Among the team members, if you realize there's some unhealthy competition, the person who's aware, who think that they are stronger, able to hold it, can take the first step to neutralize it. Yeah, walk the covenant, as they say, right? The person that's stronger, take the step. It doesn't have to be any particular person.
Right.
Yeah. Have you experienced that in the office before? But people think, oh, Auntie, you're so good. I don't like you. Go away.
I think I don't have particularly such instances, but it's more of people are jealous and then they start to boycott.
Wow.
For my case, I guess there are people who actually form a clique. Like trying to grow the influence, build an entire team
Right.
of people to like boycott against me.
Ah.
Right. So it's like if one person is jealous, you ask more people to, instigate them to be jealous, right? And then, force me out of, I don't say force me to resign or whatever.
And make it uncomfortable for you to stay on.
Yeah. So it's like being ostracized. Like the team be trying to ostracize you, and that's the only experience that I've tried before. That it went out all this way. I guess those are very fun topics to talk about in the office, right? Next time, yeah, people do that kind of things. Do I feel stressed? Yes, I feel stressed because I am a people person, so I sort of lose friends. Those friends who are in the middle, sometimes they get swayed and then they move away from you. That's the saddest part for me.
Right.
I don't call it stressful. I call it sad that like they actually, in a sense, I'm sad for them. It felt like they have to choose sides,
Right.
right? Either you're with me or you're with the other person, right? And I was like, why are we being manipulated? Why are friendships in the office being manipulated into taking sides and forming cliques?
Talking about friendship, you mentioned. I once had a colleague who told me that,
No friendship in the
Victoria,
office.
I'm not here to make friends.
Exactly.
I was like, because I was like, I was just making a comment that, this I'm trying to get used to this environment whereby everybody seems to be managing your own, and then, we are all independent workers. And that is something new for me. I've used to work in a team, and I kind of enjoy teamwork, where everybody contribute to one part of the specialties, right?
I find that sad.
Yeah, and then
Anyway.
the person turned around and tell me that, hey, Victoria, I'm not here to make friends. That was like, oh, okay. Oh, am I too naive? Or yeah, but I understand where you're coming from. But in that organization, I learned one thing about situation like that is I always reach out. I used to be quiet about it. Reach out to whoever, maybe your immediate reports, first of all. Because sometimes I think the immediate reports would know what you're doing, your work and your contributions. And hopefully your immediate reports should also know you as a person as well. Whether you would sit into this situation because of your doings or not. So sometimes having someone who could understand you, as we mentioned, right? Your social network is important. Will understand you, the challenge that you go through when you are a top performer, and then they may be able to quietly mediate it without even, creating a big scene about it. Because if they are very good leaders, they should be able to kind of like put things at ease. Yeah. And
But I think the damage done will take a really long time to build back, or maybe even never.
Yeah.
So
depends on the context, like you say, huh?
yeah, even if everything is resolved, right? Then at the end of the day, example, let's say this colleague found that okay, what he did was wrong, but because of that, he or she start avoiding me. It's like irreparable connections. Yeah. So I guess we just have to move on. Right. So
yes and no lah. Sometimes it takes time, especially so if let's say the work that you're doing doesn't have to be very involved with this colleague in a very close contact. Like everybody like in their own work in their own department. Sometimes that would be all right because you don't have a direct.
I think operationally it's okay. It's more of like what are ways to this friendship.
Yeah.
just because of the green eye monster and things happen.
Unfortunately, we can't control what is on everybody's mind, right?
Oh yeah. Remember, it's back to self again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess maybe to wrap up, right? Is there any learning points that you want to share with us regarding today's topic?
Definitely. Let me just. I think definitely in terms of critics, understand that our critics are basically more to protect ourselves. So once you recognize that our critics are to protect ourselves, we would be kinder to ourselves. And we would also choose how we can respond to the critics. Because I think a lot of time we always say, oh, this is no good, and we push it away. Like stress is no good, we push it away. Like everything is no good, we push it away. But sometimes the way to manage it is not to push it away, because they are also part of us. The critics is also part of us, part of who we are, part of our own narrations as well. So instead of pushing it away, recognizing that it is part of our maybe concerns or maybe our worries about some things, and then or maybe our desire even to be better, or maybe even our self-doubt. So once you recognize that part of it, you can decide how you want to respond to it. You don't necessarily have to buy it wholesale. You can actually reframe it. You can actually choose to decide whether is this critique even relevant. Maybe it's not relevant to you at all. Most important is that at the end of the day, is this critics, the measurement of this critique, is it from myself? Am I measuring the same way? Or is this critique from someone else? I think recognizing that part of it is even more important, so that you can authentically measure yourself with who you want to be measured with, what kind of values, what kind of meaning that you want, so that you are measuring yourself correctly and not just based on somebody else's yardstick and measurement.
Yeah, I think I heard the word from you is actually the word kind, because as you said, when we form a critique of ourselves, it is actually towards a good. It's towards something good. You're actually aiming to be better. You're aiming to be something good. It's just, I guess, we are too hard on ourselves while being good, right? So I think the word kind is very powerful, that we need to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of times we are more critical than for us, but for ourselves than being kind to ourselves.
Yeah. More critical than others, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. If you only see yourself in the eyes of another person, sometimes you'll see a lot more beauty in yourself. I remember I saw this social experiment. It's very powerful. There's Devan, there's actually an artist. He went on the street and he got two persons. Imagine he got you and me who don't know each other. And then he asked us to speak to each other for 10 minutes. Then after 10 minutes, he didn't see them. It's actually his assistant who got these two strangers. After talking to 10 minutes, he let's say for example, me, sit down, and then describe first about myself. Then I'll describe how I will be. I'll be back facing the artist back facing me, and she'll start drawing based on what I say. I say, I got a long hair, curly hair. Then I got maybe a frown line on my forehead. I will describe myself, and the artist will start drawing. Then after that, the artist will ask me to describe you that I just met. So I'll describe you, or how you would be like, what kind of eyes you have, what kind of hair you have. And he will have the two drawings.
Let me guess, the other people describe what is beautiful.
No, that is interesting thing, but then the other person sweep around and do the same thing.
Okay.
Describe yourself and then describe me. And he finished the drawing and then put it side by side. And it's the same person. You can see that they are actually really drawing the same person, and the artist is awesome. He really drew so well.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is that when you look at two narration, one looks really more sad and angry.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, and more troubled looking. There's this gloomy feel about this person.
The self one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The self-narration. And the other one looks bright and cheerful, and then the features are glowing,
Glowing.
Yeah, and it's amazing when you look at it side by side. It's like, wow, we're so critical of ourselves that even the portrait turns out looking a bit more angry and unhappy than what people describe you of.
Right.
So sometimes the other narration that I want to ask myself is that if you are your friend, if you step out of yourself, what would you say to yourself on that self-critics that you just said, How would you respond? What would you say? Yeah, maybe you will have a different narration if you see yourself as somebody else, that your friends saying that of to you. you may have a different narration, and I'm very, very sure you'll be a kinder one. Yeah, because they would see your strength that sometimes you don't see because all you see is the critics that you want to be
They see
better,
you better, right? Easier,
Yeah. So I think we can adapt that view as well. You know, when we step out of our own zone and look at it from the external view of how a friend would look at me and tell what would my friend say of me, what would I say of myself if I am my own friend. Yeah, so that narration may give you a different perspective.
Okay. So I guess, okay, that's it. We reached the end of the podcast. And I'll do a call again. Please be kind and please subscribe to us. And anything to tell?
Join us again. We are trying.
Okay, I guess we'll see you again on our next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The heart behind what we're working for. The intentional